I stand in my parents' living room on my 30th birthday, staring at a crumpled lottery ticket in my palm, while my brother Tyler holds the keys to a brand new 4-bedroom house. The contrast cuts deep. "We thought you might enjoy the excitement of gambling," my mother Patricia says with a dismissive wave. Tyler grins smugly, already planning renovations. But this ticket bears numbers that will change everything. Tonight, 68 million people will watch the drawing. Tomorrow, my family will discover what real excitement looks like when justice comes calling. My name is Leopold, and I've spent 30 years watching my family treat me like a consolation prize. Growing up, the pattern was always the same. Tyler got the brand new bicycle for Christmas, while I received hand-me-down clothes from our cousin. When he turned 16, our parents surprised him with a cherry red Honda Civic. When I reached the same age, they handed me bus fare and told me public transportation builds character. College marked the most painful chapter of favoritism. Tyler received full tuition payments to State University, complete with dormitory fees, and a generous monthly allowance for entertainment. Meanwhile, I worked 30 hours a week at a grocery store to afford community college classes, surviving on ramen noodles and determination. While Tyler pledged a fraternity and partied through 4 years of business administration, I studied accounting in the library, between shifts earning my associate degree with zero family support. Now, at 30, the disparity has only grown wider. Tyler works in sales at our father's insurance company, drives a leased BMW, and lives in a suburban townhouse with his wife Amanda. I operate machinery at Henderson Manufacturing, drive a 12-year-old Honda with 200,000 miles, and rent a studio apartment above Rosie's Diner on Maple Street. The walls are thin enough that I hear every breakfast order being shouted in the kitchen below. But tonight, the entire extended family has gathered in our childhood home for what was supposed to be a joint birthday celebration. Tyler turned 28 last month, and our parents decided to combine our parties to save money. At least, that was their excuse. The real reason became obvious the moment we walked into the living room decorated with balloons spelling out Tyler in gold letters. Aunt Sharon sits on the floral couch holding her phone, ready to capture the gift-giving ceremony for social media. Uncle Frank lounges in the recliner, nursing his third beer and making jokes about my perpetual bachelorhood. My cousins Jessica and Daniel occupy the love seat, whispering about something they saw on Instagram. The only person who seems genuinely happy to see me is my grandmother Helen, who quietly slipped me $50 earlier with a whispered, "Buy yourself something nice, honey." The main event begins when our father Robert emerges from the garage carrying an ornate wooden box. Inside, nestled in red velvet, lies a set of keys attached to a silver keychain, engraved with Tyler's initials. The ceremony unfolds like a well-rehearsed performance. Patricia produces the deed to a 2-story colonial house in Maple Ridge, complete with granite countertops, hardwood floors, and a 2-car garage. The property value $350,000. Amanda squeals with manufactured delight, throwing her arms around Tyler's neck, while cameras flash and phones record. Tyler delivers a modest acceptance speech about family values and gratitude, though his smirk suggests he expected nothing less than royal treatment. Everyone applauds as if witnessing a coronation, rather than another episode of parental favoritism. Then comes my turn. Patricia approaches with forced enthusiasm, holding what appears to be a birthday card from the corner drugstore. Inside, between generic birthday wishes printed in cursive font, sits a single Mega Millions lottery ticket. The purchase price, $2. The message could not be clearer if they had written it in skywriting above the house. "We know how much you love taking chances." Patricia announces to the room, her tone suggesting that my entire life constitutes reckless gambling. The phrase stings because they have transformed every independent decision I have made into evidence of poor judgment. Moving out at 18 became abandoning family stability. Choosing community college over debt became lacking ambition. Working in manufacturing instead of joining the family business became wasting potential. Tyler cannot resist adding his commentary. Maybe now you can finally afford to move out of that dump above the diner," he says, generating polite laughter from the assembled relatives. Though, knowing your luck, you'll probably lose the ticket before the drawing. The humiliation burns through my chest, but I force a smile and thank them for their thoughtfulness. I congratulate Tyler on his magnificent gift pose for photographs holding my lottery ticket, like a proud winner, and endure 30 more minutes of thinly veiled criticism, disguised as family concern. When I finally escape to the parking lot, my face hurts from maintaining the grateful expression they expected. Sitting in my Honda, I examine the lottery ticket more closely. The numbers mean nothing to me: 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, and the Mega Ball number 9. Random digits selected by a computer representing mathematical impossibility, disguised as hope. I almost throw it in the trash can beside my car, but something stops me. Maybe spite. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the stubborn refusal to give them the satisfaction of being right about my choices. As I drive away, my windows down, because the air conditioning died last summer, I replay the evening's events. The worst part was not the gift disparity, or even Tyler's cruel jokes. It was the moment I overheard our father talking to Uncle Frank in the kitchen, while I was getting punch. "Don't worry about Leopold," Robert said, his voice carrying the casual dismissal of 30 years. "He'll never amount to anything anyway. This house investment will keep appreciating while he wastes money on lottery dreams." Those words echo in my mind as I navigate the familiar streets toward my apartment. Never amount to anything. 30 years of proof points supporting their verdict: the community college graduate, the factory worker, the perpetual disappointment who chose independence over family approval. Tonight, their judgment feels especially harsh, because part of me wonders if they might be right. I pull into the alley behind Rosie's Diner, where my Honda fits between a grease dumpster and the building's electrical meter. The external stairs to my apartment creak with each step, a nightly reminder of my reduced circumstances. Captain, my 3-year-old rescue German Shepherd mix, greets me at the door with the unconditional enthusiasm that humans rarely provide. The lottery ticket sits on my kitchen table, while I heat leftover spaghetti in the microwave. Around me, the modest space reflects 5 years of careful budgeting, secondhand furniture, clearance decorations, and a 13-inch television that predates streaming services. It is not much, but it belongs to me, purchased through honest work, without family assistance or obligations. I scratch Captain behind the ears and consider the evening's lesson. They gave Tyler a house because they believe in his future. They gave me a lottery ticket because they expect nothing from my present. The symbolism would be perfect if it were not so painful. Saturday evening arrives with the ordinary rhythm that has defined my weekends for 5 years. I feed Captain his dinner of discount kibble, mixed with leftover vegetables, sort through a small pile of bills that somehow always exceeds my paycheck, and tackle the weekly laundry in the building's basement machines. The lottery ticket remains where I left it 3 days ago, forgotten, beneath a stack of utility notices. My routine includes background television for company during domestic chores, the local news drones about traffic accidents and city council meetings, while I fold work shirts and separate colors from whites. Normally, I would switch channels after the weather forecast, but tonight, the anchor mentions the largest Mega Millions jackpot in state history, $120 million. The drawing begins at 11 p.m. broadcast live from the state capitol. I almost change the channel, but something keeps me watching. Maybe the week's accumulated frustrations. Maybe curiosity about whether anyone actually wins these impossible games. Maybe the stubborn part of my personality that refuses to abandon hope despite overwhelming evidence that optimism leads to disappointment. The lottery hostess, a blonde woman in a sparkly blue dress, provides enthusiastic commentary about the life-changing potential of tonight's drawing. She introduces the mechanical machine that will select 6 numbers from 59 white balls, plus 1 red mega ball from 35 possibilities. The odds, she cheerfully announces, are 1 in 258 million. I retrieve my ticket from the kitchen table without much expectation. The first number drops 7. My heart skips, but millions of tickets probably contain that digit. The second number, 14. Now I pay attention, checking and rechecking the printed numbers. Third number, 23. My hands begin trembling slightly. Fourth number, 31. Fifth number, 42. The room spins as impossibility transforms into mathematical reality. One number remains the mega ball that determines the jackpot winner. The red ball tumbles through the machine's transparent chamber, bouncing and spinning before settling into the selection slot. Number 9. I stare at the television screen, then at my ticket, then back at the screen. Every number matches perfectly. The hostess congratulates the winner wherever they might be for becoming an instant multimillionaire. That winner apparently is sitting in a studio apartment above a diner wearing yesterday's jeans and a factory uniform shirt that smells like industrial lubricant. Captain senses my agitation and approaches with concerned whining. I cannot speak or move for several minutes, clutching the ticket like a religious artifact. The magnitude of change represented by 6 matching numbers overwhelms every cognitive process. $120 million. More money than I could spend in several lifetimes. More money than exists in the combined bank accounts of everyone I have ever known. I walk circles around my apartment, calling Captain's name repeatedly, while he follows with confused loyalty. Sitting proves impossible. Standing feels inadequate. The ticket validates itself repeatedly as I check the numbers against multiple websites, but my brain refuses to process the information rationally. This level of fortune simply does not happen to people like me. Eventually, exhaustion forces me onto the couch, where I spend the remainder of the night staring at the ceiling and contemplating impossible realities. Sleep never comes. Instead, I research lottery procedures on my phone, learning about claiming requirements, tax implications, and publicity protocols. The jackpot equals $68 million after federal and state taxes. Still an astronomical sum that redefines every assumption about my future. Monday morning, I call Henderson Manufacturing and report a family emergency that requires immediate personal time. My supervisor grants 3 days off without questions, probably assuming another Leopold crisis that confirms his low expectations. Instead, I drive 2 hours to the state lottery headquarters, arriving 30 minutes before they open, to find 12 other people already waiting in line. The lottery building resembles a government office, crossed with a bank vault. Security cameras monitor every angle, while armed guards check identification and escort winners through bulletproof doors. Inside, lottery officials verify my ticket using multiple authentication methods, confirming what my racing heart already knows: I possess the sole winning ticket for Saturday night's drawing. The claiming process involves mountains of paperwork, tax forms, legal disclaimers, and publicity requirements. They explain the mandatory waiting period before funds transfer, the media obligations, and various payment options. I choose the lump sum rather than annual installments, prioritizing immediate access over long-term income streams. Sitting in the lottery office parking lot afterward, I contemplate the surreal transition from factory worker to multimillionaire, accomplished in 72 hours. My Honda suddenly seems absurd, but changing cars would signal the transformation before I am ready to reveal it. I need time to plan, to consider implications, to determine how this windfall reshapes relationships built on 3 decades of family dynamics. My phone buzzes with a text message from Tyler. Hope you enjoyed your consolation prize loser. Amanda and I are planning the housewarming party next weekend. Don't bother coming unless you bring a real gift this time. The timing feels cosmically appropriate. While he gloats about his $350,000 house, I possess wealth that dwarfs his imagination. But revealing the win immediately would squander a valuable opportunity. They gave me this ticket, expecting nothing, dismissing me as the family failure who wastes money on impossible dreams. Now, I hold the power to redefine those assumptions, to demonstrate what they have misunderstood about character potential and the meaning of success. The drive home provides thinking time about strategy. Simply announcing the win would generate temporary shock, followed by inevitable demands for sharing wealth with family members who have contributed nothing to my struggles. Better to observe their behavior, document their true characters, and craft a response worthy of 30 years of dismissal. I stop at Captain's favorite pet store and purchase the premium dog food he deserves, along with new toys and a comfortable bed to replace his threadbare blanket. These small improvements represent the beginning of a larger transformation, one that will unfold according to my timeline and priorities rather than family expectations. Back in my apartment, I secure the winning ticket in the fireproof safe I purchased years ago for important documents. Tomorrow, I will begin implementing a plan that honors both the magnitude of this opportunity and the lessons learned from a lifetime of underestimation. Tonight, I simply sit with Captain and absorb the reality that everything has changed, even if the world does not yet know it. 3 days of strategic planning transform my perspective on family dynamics, from resignation to anticipation. I meet with financial advisors, tax attorneys, and investment specialists who help structure my newfound wealth responsibly. Offshore accounts protect the principal, while domestic investments generate sustainable income streams. By Wednesday, $68 million sits in various accounts under my control, earning more in daily interest than my annual salary at Henderson Manufacturing. But the real work involves psychological preparation for confronting 3 decades of family dismissal. I schedule Thursday evening dinner at our parents' house, calling Patricia with unusual enthusiasm about properly thanking them for their birthday gifts. The request catches her off guard, because gratitude rarely motivates my family interactions. But she agrees, readily pleased that I finally seem to appreciate their thoughtfulness. Thursday arrives with the nervous energy of an actor preparing for opening night. I dress in my usual factory worker attire, faded jeans, work boots, and a flannel shirt that reinforces their expectations about my circumstances. The performance begins the moment I ring their doorbell ticket photocopy, hidden in my wallet, alongside documentation proving my claim. Tyler and Amanda arrive punctually, bringing expensive wine and their customary air of superiority. Amanda wears a designer dress that cost more than my monthly rent, while Tyler sports a tailored suit that emphasizes his professional success. They exchange meaningful glances when they see my unchanged appearance, confirming their assumptions about my continued financial struggles. Dinner conversation follows predictable patterns established over years of family gatherings. Tyler dominates discussion with detailed accounts of house renovations, hardwood floor, refinishing kitchen appliance upgrades, and landscaping plans that require substantial additional investment. Amanda contributes commentary about interior design choices and neighborhood amenities that highlight their elevated lifestyle. Our parents beam with pride at Tyler's achievements, while offering me condescending advice about improving my circumstances. Patricia suggests I explore online dating because someone my age should be settled down with family responsibilities. Robert recommends pursuing additional certifications at community college to advance beyond entry-level manufacturing positions. The conversation provides perfect intelligence-gathering opportunities as I ask innocuous questions about their financial situations and future aspirations. Tyler brags about potential real estate investments, describing his plan to purchase rental properties using his house as collateral. Our parents discuss retirement concerns, mentioning medical expenses and the challenge of maintaining their lifestyle on fixed incomes. Amanda reveals their vacation plans, a 2-week European tour that will require careful budgeting, but represents their reward for years of responsible financial planning. Uncle Frank, joining us for dessert, complains about tax obligations and his struggle to maintain his small accounting practice. Each conversation thread provides insight into their priorities, insecurities, and expectations about family wealth distribution. After dinner, while Patricia serves coffee and her famous apple pie, I decide the moment has arrived for revelation. From my wallet, I extract the lottery ticket photocopy and place it gently on the dining room table. The innocent gesture draws confused stares until I explain calmly, "You were right about taking chances. Sometimes they pay off in unexpected ways. Initial reactions range from polite laughter to gentle mockery. Tyler assumes I am making another poor financial decision by purchasing additional lottery tickets. Amanda comments about the futility of gambling addiction. Our parents exchange patient glances that suggest familiar disappointment with my choices. But when I produce my phone and navigate to the state lottery website, displaying the winning numbers alongside my ticket, silence descends like fog over water. Tyler counts the matching numbers twice before understanding penetrates his consciousness. Amanda stops mid-sentence her critique about gambling addiction dissolving into speechless shock. Patricia drops her coffee cup, sending ceramic fragments across the hardwood floor, while dark liquid spreads between chair legs. Robert removes his reading glasses and cleans them repeatedly, as if visual clarity will change the mathematical impossibility before him. Uncle Frank chokes on apple pie, requiring several glasses of water to recover his composure. The winning numbers glow on my phone screen: 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, and Megaball 9. Identical digits printed on the ticket they dismissed as consolation prize 3 days earlier. $120 million represented by 6 randomly selected numbers that transformed their family failure into the wealthiest person they know. Tyler recovers first, lunging across the table toward my ticket with desperate urgency. "We're family!" he shouts, his voice cracking with panic and greed. "That money belongs to all of us. Mom and Dad gave you that ticket, so it's really family money that should be shared equally." But I calmly withdraw my phone and show them the video I recorded while claiming the prize 3 days earlier. State lottery officials appear on screen, verifying my identity and confirming the jackpot claim. The timestamp proves I have owned this fortune since Monday morning, while watching them plan their modest renovations and budget vacations. The money already sits in my bank account. I explain with quiet satisfaction. This ticket is just a photocopy for sentimental value. The original is locked safely away with all the legal documentation proving my ownership. The room erupts into chaos as everyone speaks simultaneously. Tyler demands equal distribution based on family loyalty. Amanda accuses me of deceptive manipulation by concealing the win. Our parents insist that lottery winnings should support the entire family, because blood relationships create mutual obligations. Uncle Frank, ever the accountant, immediately calculates tax implications and suggests strategies for minimizing my burden through family gifts and charitable deductions. Jessica and Daniel, arriving late from their college classes, walk into a scene resembling a financial intervention rather than a family dinner. But I sit quietly through their demands and accusations, observing behavior that confirms every suspicion about their true characters. Not one person congratulates me on good fortune or expresses happiness for my changed circumstances. Instead, they immediately focus on extracting personal benefit from wealth they neither earned nor deserve. The evening ends with Tyler threatening to never speak to me again unless I share the winnings equally. Amanda storms out, declaring that family means nothing to selfish people who forget their obligations. Our parents demand I reconsider my priorities and remember who raised me with proper values. Driving home through familiar streets that now seem different under streetlights, I reflect on the evening's revelations. Their reactions proved that 30 years of dismissal stemmed not from concern about my choices, but from jealousy about my independence. Now that I possess something they want, their true natures emerge like spring flowers after winter frost. But this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, I will implement the next phase of my plan, one designed to demonstrate what they have always misunderstood about justice, character, and the consequences of treating family members like disappointing investments that never pay dividends. Friday morning brings a relentless assault of communication from family members who spent the night calculating their potential shares of my windfall. Text messages arrive every few minutes, each more desperate than the last. Patricia sends photos of medical bills and prescription receipts with messages about family obligations during health crises. Robert forwards mortgage statements and insurance premiums emphasizing their financial struggles during retirement years. Tyler takes a more aggressive approach, calling repeatedly and leaving voicemails that escalate from friendly negotiation to bitter accusations. His first message suggests a reasonable family meeting to discuss wealth distribution. By the fourth call, he threatens to hire attorneys and pursue legal action for intentional infliction of emotional distress on family members. Amanda launches a social media campaign designed to pressure me through public shame. Her Facebook posts paint carefully crafted narratives about family members who forget their roots and abandon relatives who supported them during difficult times. She shares articles about lottery winners who maintain humble lifestyles and generous family relationships with pointed commentary about moral obligations. The manipulation tactics become increasingly sophisticated throughout the day. Aunt Sharon calls claiming she needs emergency surgery but lacks adequate insurance coverage. Uncle Frank mentions potential foreclosure on his accounting practice without immediate capital infusion. Cousin Jessica explains how college tuition increases threaten her ability to complete her education without family assistance. Each conversation follows the same pattern: artificial emergency requiring my immediate financial intervention, followed by guilt about abandoning family during their greatest need. None of them mention the 30 years they watched me struggle without offering assistance, or the countless times they dismissed my financial challenges as consequences of poor choices. By afternoon, Tyler escalates to workplace harassment. He appears in the Henderson manufacturing parking lot, confronting me publicly about stealing money that belongs to the entire family. His accusations draw attention from coworkers who struggle to understand why someone would argue about lottery winnings with their brother. That ticket was a family gift. Tyler shouts loud enough for everyone to hear. Legally, morally, ethically, that money belongs to all of us equally. You're destroying our family by being selfish and greedy. Security guards escort him from company property, while fellow employees stare in confusion. My supervisor approaches afterward, asking whether family problems might affect my work performance. I assure him that personal issues will not interfere with my professional obligations, though internally, I wonder how long I will continue this charade. The harassment reaches new levels when they begin appearing at my apartment unannounced. Saturday morning, I discover Patricia and Amanda sitting on my external stairs crying dramatically and clutching tissues. They claim desperate need for immediate conversation about family unity and mutual support during challenging times. Their performance includes carefully rehearsed emotional breakdowns about feeling betrayed by someone they loved and trusted. Patricia mentions sleepless nights worrying about family relationships destroyed by money. Amanda describes Tyler's depression and anxiety since learning about the lottery win, suggesting that my secrecy caused psychological damage requiring professional treatment. But their desperation becomes most apparent when Robert arrives Sunday afternoon with a folder of financial documents. Inside, he has prepared detailed calculations showing how $68 million could be distributed among family members to resolve everyone's money problems while maintaining substantial wealth for my personal use. His proposal allocates $15 million to Tyler and Amanda for real estate investments, $10 million to our parents for retirement security, $5 million to extended family members facing various crises, and $38 million remaining for my personal enjoyment. He presents this scheme as reasonable compromise that demonstrates family loyalty while ensuring my financial independence. This isn't about greed, Robert explains with practiced sincerity. It's about family values and taking care of people who took care of you. We raised you, supported you, and gave you opportunities that led to this moment. Now you have the chance to show whether family means anything to you. His words sting because they rewrite history to cast themselves as supportive parents, rather than critics who expected nothing from my potential. But I listen, politely, nod thoughtfully, and promise to consider their proposal carefully. Meanwhile, I document every conversation using recording devices my attorney recommended for evidence collection. Monday brings the registered letter from Tyler's attorney, demanding mediation and threatening legal action for various psychological injuries, allegedly caused by my concealment of lottery winnings. The letter claims I deliberately hid my windfall to cause emotional distress, violated implicit family agreements about mutual support, and breached fiduciary duties owed to relatives who provided lifetime assistance. Reading the legal threats in my kitchen while Captain eats breakfast, I realize they have crossed the line from family pressure into attempted extortion. Their desperation has transformed reasonable people into criminals willing to abuse legal systems for personal gain. This development requires strategic response rather than continued passive observation. I call Harrison Mitchell a respected attorney whose downtown firm specializes in family wealth disputes. His initial consultation reveals the complete baselessness of Tyler's claims, while highlighting potential countercharges for harassment, defamation, and attempted fraud. Within 48 hours, my legal team prepares comprehensive documentation of their behavior patterns. Meanwhile, I implement Phase 2 of my response plan. Thursday afternoon, I hold a press conference at City Hall, announcing the establishment of the Leopold Family Foundation, dedicated to providing college scholarships for underprivileged students in our community. The initial endowment, $50 million of my lottery winnings. Local media coverage highlights my humble background and commitment to helping others achieve educational opportunities, despite financial limitations. Community leaders praise my generosity and vision for breaking cycles of poverty through education. The newspaper publishes a front-page story about hometown lottery winner who chooses charity over luxury. But the most important audience for this announcement sits in their comfortable homes watching television coverage of my charitable commitment with growing panic. By establishing a public foundation with half my winnings, I demonstrate both my values and my independence from their demands. More importantly, I begin setting legal precedents that protect my remaining wealth from their manipulation attempts. Friday evening, I extend one final invitation for family reconciliation dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. The venue choice signals my changed circumstances while providing neutral territory for our confrontation. They accept eagerly, interpreting my gesture as capitulation to their pressure rather than preparation for their education. Saturday evening at Romano's, the finest restaurant in our county. I watch my family struggle with menus whose prices exceed their comfort zones. Tyler and Amanda whisper about appetizer costs, while our parents study wine selections with obvious anxiety about their budgets. The irony is perfect. They demand my wealth, while demonstrating their inability to navigate the world that money creates. I ordered this private dining room specifically for the conversation we need to have without public interruption. Hidden recording devices placed with management's permission and my attorney's guidance will document everything said tonight. The evidence gathered here will determine whether reconciliation remains possible or legal action becomes necessary. Tyler begins with renewed demands for equal wealth distribution, presenting a revised proposal that allocates $25 million to each family member. He argues that lottery winnings represent random fortune rather than earned income, making sharing an ethical obligation. Amanda supports his position with emotional appeals about family unity and mutual support during difficult times. Our parents contribute their own manipulation tactics, describing medical expenses and retirement insecurities that require immediate financial assistance. Patricia produces doctor bills and prescription costs, while emphasizing her role in raising me with proper values. Robert mentions potential foreclosure on their home without substantial capital infusion to address mounting debts. But their arguments reveal fundamental misunderstandings about both money and relationships. They speak about my wealth as if it belongs to them by birthright, ignoring the fact that independent adults own their financial choices and consequences. None of them acknowledge my years of struggle or their complete absence during my difficulties. Instead, I listen patiently while they detail their expectations, demands, and threats. Tyler admits he has been telling business associates that lottery money belongs to the entire family, making financial commitments based on anticipated inheritance. Amanda describes vacation plans and shopping sprees she expects to fund with my winnings. Uncle Frank reveals his assumption that I would cover his tax obligations and business debts because family members support each other during emergencies. Aunt Sharon expects assistance with her mortgage payments and credit card balances accumulated through years of overspending. Each person has assigned themselves portions of wealth they never earned. When they finish their presentations, I place several manila envelopes on the table. Inside the first envelope, comprehensive financial records documenting Tyler's gambling addiction. Private investigator reports detail his casino visits, online poker losses, and accumulating debts hidden from Amanda and our parents. The second envelope contains evidence of our parents' financial deception. Bank statements prove they have been supporting Tyler's lifestyle for years, while claiming poverty during my struggles. Mortgage records show multiple refinancing arrangements to fund his business ventures and lifestyle choices. Third envelope reveals Uncle Frank's tax evasion schemes and fraudulent accounting practices that threaten his professional license. Aunt Sharon's credit history demonstrates irresponsible spending patterns and multiple bankruptcy filings. The accumulated evidence paints a clear picture of family members who manage money poorly while expecting others to subsidize their choices. This is what you call family loyalty. I say, quietly spreading documents across the restaurant table. Tyler owes $47,000 to various gambling establishments while hiding his addiction from his wife. Our parents mortgaged their home 3 times to fund his failures while telling me they couldn't afford to help with my college expenses. Tyler's face drains of color as gambling debt statements reveal the scope of his problem. Amanda stares at casino receipts and poker transaction records with growing horror, realizing her husband has been lying about their financial security. Our parents exchange guilty glances as their deception becomes undeniable. Uncle Frank has been embezzling from client accounts to cover personal expenses. I continue producing accounting irregularities discovered by my investigator. Aunt Sharon filed bankruptcy twice in 10 years while maintaining expensive lifestyle habits funded by credit fraud. The evidence overwhelms their ability to deny or deflect responsibility for their behavior patterns. Each document represents choices they made while expecting others to bear consequences. Their moral authority to demand my money collapses under the weight of their documented hypocrisy. But I have prepared one final revelation that demonstrates the true cost of their greed. From my briefcase, I extract legal documents establishing the Leopold Family Foundation, along with tax implications they never considered. Since you believe in sharing family money, I announce with calm satisfaction, I have made the $50 million charitable donation in all our names. According to IRS regulations, large charitable donations create tax liabilities for all family members listed as contributors. Their confusion transforms into panic as my attorney explains the legal ramifications. Each person now faces substantial tax obligations on income. They never received penalties for unreported gambling winnings in Tyler's case, and potential criminal charges for tax evasion in Uncle Frank's situation. The charitable foundation documentation lists every family member as initial contributors, making them liable for proportional tax payments on the donated amount. Tyler faces potential audit of his hidden gambling income. Our parents must account for years of unreported financial support to their son. You wanted to share my lottery winnings, I conclude. Now you can share the tax responsibilities that accompany large charitable donations. The IRS considers foundation contributions as income attribution to all household members. Tyler bolts from the restaurant without paying his portion of the bill, while Amanda follows him, with tears streaming down her face. Our parents sit in stunned silence, finally understanding that their manipulation attempts have created legal jeopardy rather than financial gain. Uncle Frank calculates tax obligations on his napkin, his face growing paler with each number. The evening ends with family members scattered to the winds, each contemplating consequences they never anticipated when they began their pressure campaign. Tomorrow, they will discover that greed carries costs far beyond damaged relationships. Tonight, justice begins to balance scales that have been tilted against me for 30 years. Monday morning brings panic-stricken phone calls from family members who spent the weekend consulting tax attorneys and discovering the magnitude of their legal exposure. Tyler's voice shakes as he explains that IRS auditors have scheduled appointments to examine his finances, including gambling income he failed to report over multiple tax years. The charitable donation in their names created a complex web of tax obligations that none of them can afford to meet. Each person now owes substantial penalties and interest on unreported income, while facing potential criminal charges for tax evasion and fraud. Their greed has transformed my lottery winnings into their financial nightmare. Tyler's gambling addiction becomes public knowledge when casino debt collectors begin calling his workplace and visiting his home. Amanda discovers the true scope of his deception: $47,000 in gaming debts, secret credit cards, and forged loan applications using their house as collateral. The marriage that seemed so perfect 3 weeks ago dissolves into accusations and betrayal. Our parents face foreclosure proceedings when their multiple mortgage refinancing schemes become subject to IRS scrutiny. Bank records reveal years of financial support to Tyler, disguised as business loans, creating tax liability for unreported gifts and potential fraud charges. Their comfortable retirement transforms into legal battles they cannot afford to fight. Uncle Frank's accounting practice closes permanently when state investigators discover his embezzlement activities. Client funds diverted for personal use, falsified tax returns, and fraudulent business expense reports result in criminal charges and professional license revocation. His reputation in the community disappears overnight along with his livelihood. The social consequences prove equally devastating as news of their harassment campaign spreads throughout our community. Local newspaper coverage of my charitable foundation includes details about family members who demanded portions of lottery winnings while concealing their own financial crimes. Public opinion solidifies around the narrative of greedy relatives attempting to exploit generous lottery winner. Tyler's neighbors begin questioning his character after witnessing his workplace harassment and learning about his gambling addiction. Amanda's social media complaints backfire spectacularly when followers discover the true story behind her victim narrative. Former friends distance themselves from family members who revealed their willingness to manipulate legal systems for personal gain. The professional consequences multiply throughout the week. Tyler loses his position at our father's insurance company when client relationships become untenable due to his damaged reputation. Amanda's marketing firm releases her quietly to avoid association with the family scandal. Uncle Frank faces federal charges for tax evasion and wire fraud. Wednesday afternoon. Tyler makes one final desperate attempt at reconciliation by appearing at my apartment with a carefully prepared apology. His contrition seems genuine until he suggests that family forgiveness should include financial assistance to resolve his mounting legal problems. Even his apologies contain expectations about my obligations to rescue him from consequences of his choices. I know I made mistakes, he admits while sitting on my couch and petting Captain. The gambling got out of control, and I said things I didn't mean when I learned about your lottery win. But we're still brothers, and families help each other during difficult times. His definition of family help, however, involves my immediate payment of his casino debts, legal fees, and tax obligations in exchange for his promise to reform his behavior. The proposal demonstrates his fundamental inability to accept responsibility for decisions that created his current circumstances. Thursday brings registered letters from multiple law firms representing various family members facing criminal charges and civil penalties. Each attorney requests my testimony or financial assistance for their clients, suggesting that family loyalty requires supporting relatives during legal difficulties, regardless of their guilt. But my attorney, Harrison Mitchell, advises against any involvement with their defense strategies. Their legal problems stem from years of fraud, deception, and criminal behavior that preceded my lottery win. Any assistance I provide could be construed as obstruction of justice or conspiracy to conceal evidence of their crimes. Friday evening, I receive an unexpected visitor when my grandmother Helen arrives at my door, carrying a small suitcase and wearing a sad smile. At 84 years old, she represents the only family member who treated me with consistent kindness throughout my life, and her presence reminds me that not everyone deserves punishment for others' behavior. "I wanted to apologize for their behavior," she says while I prepare tea in my small kitchen. "I raised your father better than this, but somewhere along the way, he learned that money matters more than people. I won't ask you for anything except forgiveness for an old woman who failed to teach her family proper values." Her genuine remorse contrasts sharply with everyone else's manipulative attempts at reconciliation. She spent her life savings to cover medical expenses that our parents could have easily afforded if they hadn't spent years funding Tyler's failures. Her modest Social Security income barely covers assisted living costs, while they demanded millions from my lottery winnings. But Helen also brings disturbing news about family members' increasingly desperate behavior. Tyler has been contacting loan sharks to cover gambling debts, putting himself in physical danger from criminal organizations. Our parents are considering selling their home for far below market value to raise immediate cash for legal fees. They made their choices, Helen says sadly, but I worry they don't understand how serious this situation has become. Pride and greed have blinded them to the hole they're digging deeper every day. Her words remind me that consequences, even justified ones, can escalate beyond their intended purpose. While I wanted them to learn lessons about respect and family loyalty, I never intended for their lives to be completely destroyed. The question now becomes whether redemption remains possible, or their behavior patterns are too entrenched for meaningful change. Saturday morning, I make a decision that surprises even myself. Instead of continuing their punishment, I will offer them one final opportunity to demonstrate whether they have learned anything from their experiences. But this chance will come with conditions that test their genuine commitment to family relationships rather than financial exploitation. Sunday afternoon, I send identical text messages to all family members requesting their presence at Harrison Mitchell's law office Monday morning for what I describe as a final family meeting. The neutral location ensures professional witnesses to our conversation while providing legal protection for all parties involved. They arrive separately, avoiding eye contact, and maintaining careful distance from each other in the waiting room. 3 weeks of consequences have aged them visibly. Tyler appears 20 pounds thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. Amanda clutches tissues and wears no makeup to hide her tear-streaked face. Our parents move like elderly people suddenly confronted with their mortality. Inside the conference room, I arrange comprehensive documentation of their harassment campaign, financial crimes, and legal consequences across the polished table. Each folder contains evidence that could support additional criminal charges or civil litigation. The visual impact reminds everyone how thoroughly their behavior has been documented and analyzed. For 30 years, I begin my voice steady. Despite the emotional weight of this moment, you treated me like a consolation prize who would never amount to anything significant. When I won the lottery, your first instinct was to claim ownership of money you never earned through manipulation and threats. Tyler opens his mouth to interrupt, but I continue before he can speak. Your response revealed everything I needed to know about your true character. Not one person congratulated me or expressed happiness about my changed circumstances. Instead, you immediately focused on extracting personal benefit from wealth you believed you deserved. I produced the audio recordings from our restaurant meeting, playing selected excerpts that capture their most damning statements about family obligations and wealth distribution. Their own voices convict them of greed, manipulation, and complete disregard for my independence or feelings. Tyler admitted he had been making financial commitments based on anticipated inheritance from my winnings. Amanda planned vacations and shopping sprees, funded by money I never promised to share. Our parents mortgaged their home 3 times to support Tyler, while claiming they couldn't afford to help with my college expenses. The evidence overwhelms any attempt at denial or deflection. Bank statements, gambling records, tax documents, and recorded conversations paint an undeniable picture of family members who prioritized money over relationships while engaging in various forms of fraud and deception. But then I surprise them by producing a different set of documents, trust fund agreements that offer limited financial assistance under strict conditions designed to test their genuine commitment to redemption, rather than continued exploitation of my generosity. Despite everything you have done, I am prepared to offer assistance with your legal problems and financial obligations. But my help comes with non-negotiable conditions that will determine whether reconciliation remains possible. Tyler's trust fund will cover his gambling debts and legal fees, but only if he enters residential addiction treatment and submits to monthly financial auditing for 5 years. Any evidence of continued gambling or deceptive financial behavior will terminate assistance immediately. Amanda receives separate support for her divorce proceedings and career reestablishment contingent on her public apology for the social media harassment campaign and commitment to marriage counseling if she chooses to remain with Tyler. Our parents' assistance covers their legal fees and prevents home foreclosure, but requires their participation in family therapy sessions and written acknowledgement of their favoritism patterns. They must also establish college funds for underprivileged students as community service for their attempted manipulation. Uncle Frank's support addresses his tax obligations and criminal defense costs, but mandates restitution to defrauded clients and permanent surrender of his accounting license. He must also complete 1,000 hours of community service teaching financial literacy to low-income families. Each trust fund includes monthly stipends that provide basic living expenses, while recipients demonstrate genuine behavioral change. Progress evaluations occur quarterly with independent monitors who report compliance to my attorney. Any violation of conditions results in immediate termination of support. This isn't about revenge, I explain as they study their individual agreements. It's about determining whether you can learn from your mistakes and rebuild relationships based on mutual respect rather than financial exploitation. Tyler signs his agreement, first tears streaming down his face, as he acknowledges his gambling addiction and commits to treatment. Amanda follows, apologizing for her behavior while expressing genuine gratitude for support during her divorce proceedings. Our parents sign reluctantly, still struggling to accept responsibility for their favoritism and manipulation attempts. Uncle Frank requires additional time to consult with his attorney about the restitution requirements, but eventually agrees to terms that offer him a chance at redemption rather than certain bankruptcy and imprisonment. The legal documentation takes 3 hours to complete, with each family member receiving copies of their trust agreements, along with contact information for their assigned monitors. They leave the law office subdued, but hopeful, finally understanding that family relationships require mutual respect rather than one-sided exploitation. 6 months later, the transformation in our family dynamics exceeds my most optimistic expectations. Tyler completes residential addiction treatment and maintains complete sobriety while working at a nonprofit organization that helps other gambling addicts recover their lives. Amanda rebuilds her marketing career while attending weekly therapy sessions that help her recognize enabling behaviors in her relationship patterns. Our parents embrace family therapy with surprising enthusiasm, acknowledging decades of favoritism while working to establish healthier communication patterns. They volunteer at the community college, where I once struggled with tuition payments, helping other students navigate financial aid applications. Uncle Frank's restitution payments to defrauded clients restore his reputation, while his financial literacy classes help hundreds of families avoid the mistakes that destroyed his career. His community service transforms from court-ordered punishment into genuine passion for education and prevention. The Leopold Family Foundation grows beyond its initial $50 million endowment to become the largest scholarship provider in our region. Hundreds of students receive college funding each year, with recipients required to maintain academic standards while participating in mentorship programs that teach character alongside achievement. But the most meaningful change occurs during our weekly family dinners, now held at various locations, that rotate responsibility for hosting and planning. Conversations focus on genuine interest in each other's lives, rather than financial needs or status competitions. Tyler asks thoughtful questions about my foundation work. Amanda shares marketing strategies that help promote our scholarship programs. Our parents apologize regularly for their past favoritism, while expressing pride in both their sons' accomplishments. They have learned that success cannot be measured solely in monetary terms, but requires character integrity and genuine concern for others' well-being. The lottery ticket that began as dismissive consolation prize has evolved into the foundation for authentic family relationships, built on mutual respect rather than financial obligation. My $68 million windfall purchased something more valuable than luxury or status: the opportunity to demonstrate that true wealth comes from using resources to lift others rather than accumulating possessions. Tonight, as I sit in my new home with Captain sleeping beside my chair, I read thank you letters from scholarship recipients whose lives have been transformed by educational opportunities they never thought possible. Their gratitude reminds me that money's greatest power lies not in what it can buy, but in what it can achieve when directed toward purposes larger than personal comfort. My grandmother Helen, now living comfortably in an assisted living facility funded by my foundation, often tells visitors that she always knew I would prove them wrong about my potential. But the truth is more complex. They were never wrong about my character, only about their understanding of what character means and how it manifests in real-world choices. The greatest lesson learned through this experience extends beyond family dynamics to fundamental questions about success, fairness, and the responsibility that accompanies unexpected fortune. Money amplifies existing character traits rather than creating new ones. Generous people become more generous. Greedy people reveal their selfishness more clearly. My family's initial response to my lottery win demonstrated their true priorities and values in ways that years of ordinary interaction never could. But their willingness to accept help while changing their behavior proved that redemption remains possible for people who genuinely commit to growth rather than continued exploitation. The lottery ticket my parents gave me as a dismissive afterthought has taught all of us lessons about justice, forgiveness, and the meaning of family loyalty. Sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as disappointments, and sometimes the most important victories require helping others succeed rather than celebrating alone. If you found this story meaningful, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced family members who treated you differently based on their expectations about your potential? How did you handle situations where people only showed interest after your circumstances improved? Please share your experiences and let me know whether you think families have obligations to share unexpected windfalls equally among relatives. Don't forget to hit that like button if this story resonated with you, and consider subscribing for more real-life tales about overcoming challenges and finding strength through difficult family situations. Sharing this video helps others discover stories that might provide comfort during their own struggles with family dynamics and financial pressures. Thank you for taking this journey with me through one of the most challenging and ultimately rewarding periods of my life. I hope my experience reminds you that character matters more than circumstances, and that true success comes from using whatever resources you have to make positive differences in other people's lives. Until next time, remember that your worth isn't determined by others' expectations, and sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming the person you were always meant to be.